the world is so scarred from religion, you know.
Certain songs, well, refer to, I mean, in the song titles, to maybe death, the Undertaker and R.I.P. Burnface. Is it something that you deal with, or?
I think we were dealing with it, and it's now just like really common language, you know. Death is such a common occurrence, really, in human life. Like within your lifetime, it starts to become more and more familiar. And
you mean when you get older?
Yeah, I don't mean older like, you know, elderly, but you know, it starts maybe with your grandparents if it doesn't already happen with a friend or something, and then as you go, it just becomes more and more natural. And I think the Western culture is really uncomfortable with death, you know, and doesn't necessarily doesn't really talk about it or create an environment where you can celebrate or relate on a more spiritual level to death. And we also, you know, spend a lot of time in nature, and it reminds you in witnessing the fertilization process in nature. It really reminds you of how natural it is.
So you're not really, like you were saying, afraid to die. So for you, it's just maybe transforming into another.
Definitely.
Are you smiling?
I don't know. Sweet.
Well, the song Undertaker, it's your mother singing in Cherokee. What does she sing in that song? Do you know?
That's a good question. I asked her to give us some of the details, and she looked through some of her old journals where she had inscripted, I guess, the writing of the song. And in the end, it was lost, right?
Yeah.
Or did she end up finding it?
Not that I know of. It's kind of a wild card. Like when you pick like in tarot, there's like a couple wild cards, you know. So we just put it there, like allowing that to remain mysterious.
Is it her own song, or is it something in
No, it's
traditional
like
Cherokee
it's a
song?
traditional song, good, and we haven't actually done a lot of work to figure out what it is.
The song is her own song, and the words she had found from traditional poetry.
It's something that you say, well, the Cherokee way of living and religion. Is it something that you, that you're familiar with? Is it something that you know of, or is it something that you feel within you, but you don't actually know how to pinpoint it?
We grew up learning some Cherokee traditions and hanging around reservations and stuff. But I think finally our relationship to that culture is based on intuition, and
I think a lot of our peers even who don't, you know, it's not really about bloodlines or anything. There's the sort of obvious appreciation and worship of nature and non-materialism, as well as honoring your natural gifts. For instance, if someone is born male and they have the propensity to weave baskets, they often just start dressing female and participating in the female activities, and it's completely honored by the community. So, you know, I think there's a lot of very rich and beautiful qualities that a lot of people in this kind of desperate time are starting to find solace in the sort of Native American approach to creativity and sexuality. So it's kind of all around us in our community.
But do they have a hard time now, Cherokee, I mean, to keep their own way of living in the reservation? Or do you see, like, let's say, the Western civilization, well, taking over, or something that you say, well, it's still strong and it will be here for centuries to stay?
I mean, I think the messages are most acknowledged in the creative community, in a really more alternative community. On a mainstream level, you know, it's similar to the indigenous people in a lot of the world. It's kind of a sad story, really, the results of just you know, colonialism kind of everywhere. There's all this beauty to acknowledge in what they represent, but they also represent a very sad, I think, a very sad part of humanity.
Do you think, well, they will survive, or what is your own opinion?
I mean, I don't think any of us are going to survive on a, you know, human material level at this point, and it's like way beyond that, and it's I think we look just to the messages, you know, at this point.
So what did you say? You look to
the messages, the meaning, not so much the living.